Thanks for coming. We're going to cover a couple of basics today. One is what to look for, how to recognize threats. The other is how do we respond to threats. So we've got a couple of videos we'll go through. There's a handout. We're not going to go through everything in the handout, but we're going to point out the highlights and let you ask any questions you might have. But let's start with what's the purpose of a church security team. We are trying to protect the congregation and the property from any threats that might come into the place. And the one thing to keep in mind is we're screening for a reason. You've probably seen me out there as a greeter. Well, that's only part of what I'm doing. I'm assessing the patterns that are going on around me. I'm looking at the people coming in. I'm watching the vehicles that enter to see if there's any potential threats.
Anybody's carrying something?
We'll look for that. Yeah, obviously it's one of the things we'll look for. When we get to that module, we'll be looking at STP, not the oil, but the acronym for what to look for somebody who might have a weapon.
Which is?
It is STRIDE. It is, I just forgot, STP. Pat down, and I'll have to go look. It's been so long. Okay. Let me go into my background. I have a police background. I was a police sergeant, police trainer. I was the liaison and trainer for the Yonkers Police Department for 10 years, which means I did a lot of training of officers. We're not training you to be a police officer. We're training you to get some tools, do an effective job, and protect yourself. Keep one thing in mind. Nothing is worth being hurt for. So if we do it the right way, we reduce the odds we'll ever have to have a problem. Now, I explained the last time we've got a 3-tier or a 3-ring system for security. There's an armed response station to the sanctuary. There is, right now, a lobby security with the help of Bill Worsham. We act as greeters. We also do another critical thing. About 15 minutes after service starts, we lock the front door. Anything coming in here is coming through that front door. So we can prevent them coming in. That's great. We also eventually will have a parking lot security. There'll be somebody in a vehicle out there. We're looking at some options now who will monitor what goes on in the parking lot. Because in addition to protecting the building and the congregation, cars parked in any one area for a particular amount of time are prone to get broken into. So we can
somebody trying to break into a car.
We can short circuit that, hopefully, also help people who might get a problem with their vehicle. But more importantly, that could be an armed position where we have an immediate backup to anything entering the building. And we have an immediate ability to call for the police, 911. We're going to let police handle almost everything that we can handle, rather than having to handle it ourselves. So we're going to talk about church security as to what to look for. There's a couple of videos, and on your handout is a link for the videos. This is one of the 2 services we use a lot.
And was showing signs of that, but it wasn't bad. But he just wanted a coffee and a donut, and so we gave him that, and he was on his way. So we wouldn't have let him stay and go into the church auditorium and be an interruption.
Seems like it started midway through.
Because of his influence, but we did help him out a little bit, and then he went on his way. So seeing signs of that and making an evaluation, what are you going to do in those situations? Someone that shows up and just starts asking questions about your pastor or priest or other members, it's not like a meetup. It's like, does Joe go to church here? They're not asking, they're not asking appropriate questions. In fact, most people I know, when we've greeted them, or I greeted them even out in the parking lot, they tell me, I'm here to meet Sally here. I'm looking for Sally. She told me to meet her here. It's not a questioning like they're not really sure of that person's attendance or circumstances, or they're asking weird questions about your church leadership as well. People talking to themselves, that's a great unusual behavior or unusual action to pay attention to. We had a gentleman one time that came in, he was talking a little bit to himself, and he was standing in the lobby combing his hair, kind of standing up against the wall with his head down, and he was combing his hair right there in the lobby, right within our people. And so obviously inappropriate behavior. You just don't see that. Most people don't want to do their grooming, they're not talking to themselves, and they're not keeping their head down and leaning up against the wall. So very unusual, inappropriate behavior for what we normally see. So we went and talked to him. I went and talked to him and found out that he eventually told me through some great visiting we had on our way to get a donut, get some coffee for him, that he in fact had suffered from a mental health issue. So and we ended up letting him go into the church anyway, but we watched him. We left a person with him, a couple rows back behind him, who was paying attention to him and watching him. And he did fine through the service, but later as he was leaving, he had a bit of a meltdown, if you will. So just paying attention to these kind of things, people talking to themselves or other inappropriate behavior. You might see people that run towards the church inappropriately. You know, they're running across the parking lot, they're running up to the doors. It's not kids, it's adults, and it just seems kind of odd. It's enough to go over and make sure that you talk to them and give them a warm greeting and kind of try to interview them a little bit and see what's going on with them. Go on a coffee walk to get some coffee with them and take them down to the free donuts or coffee or water, whatever you might have, and just talk with them as you have the opportunity. So if you're a greeter or someone else, then you're flagging security people to have them take a look or talk to them just a little bit. Somebody that stands or remains around their cars or in their cars for an excessive amount of time. They're in your parking lot. I've seen people stand out in our parking lot and smoke cigarettes for an excessive amount of time. You know, it's probably worth a chat or calling somebody to go out and chat with them. Or, you know, in some circumstances, if it gets kind of extreme, they've been out there for quite some time, or maybe they're making quite a mess with their cigarettes, then maybe you do call police, depending on what your situation is for law enforcement response. But at least we're probably going out and talking to them a little bit. And then, counter surveillance from near or in the church, people that are standing, it just looks like they're looking at the church. Maybe they're sitting in their car. Maybe somebody's standing outside the car, somebody's sitting in the car, or they're standing across from the church. And they just seem to be surveilling the church, paying attention to what's going on. Maybe you see them come in and look up at look for cameras, or looking around at your doors and locks and those kind of things. It's worth a chat with them at that point. So trying to find out what their mental health or what their situation is, try to find out maybe a little bit more about them. Odd conversations that don't seem relevant, so needless topics, needless chat that just doesn't seem, maybe it seems like they're nervous. Maybe you're seeing signs of nervousness, as well as the behavior is inappropriate. You know, and maybe they're going to the bathroom a lot, or they stay in the bathroom for an excessive amount of time, for a very long time. Those are the kind of folks we want to pay attention to. Those are just indicators. We look at what should you look for. These are the lists that I'm giving you, and I hope you'll go back and review this video, that you'll share it with your team, share it with others, and just look at these and then discuss what we would do with each of these circumstances. What are you going to do if you see these as just a member of the church, an attendee to the church? What are you going to do if you see some of these and you're a greeter? What are you going to do if you see some of these and you're a church leader? And so on. Whatever your position is, what are you going to do in these circumstances? Who are you going to go talk to? And then what are we going to do about these circumstances, and how are you going to handle them? Just some great ideas and thoughts for our mind. I am so happy that you joined us here today and spent some time with us. I've got other videos that I hope you'll take a look at. And our hub is really at thechurchsecurityanswerman.com. So go over there, visit us there. There's all kinds of free and different paid things and free forms, that kind of stuff that you can take a look at. You also like and subscribe here to this channel so that you get notified when we put out some new material. We'd love to have you as part of our community, where you're here when we release information. Leave me a comment. I try to get to all of those that I certainly can, so that we can share ideas and I can share back with you and give you my thoughts. And
let's just cover some of the highlights. What are you actually looking for? They mentioned a bunch of them there. And as far as the STP, it's stride, it's touching, and it's patterning. Stride is how you walk with a weapon, particularly new people. New people who aren't used to having a weapon tend to walk with a little more emphasis to protect one side than the other. The touching is they're always checking where it is, because it moves around and they're not used to it, or they've got bad equipment. A lot of people who first get into carrying a gun, it's not comfortable, they got to adjust it all the time, they don't have the right equipment like a good belt, so it rides down, they pull it up, and the patterning is, or the printing, is when this outline of a holster or gun scans out. Okay? So that's what you're looking for when you're looking for those things. But the main thing we look for is patterns. And the only way to know what the patterns for normalcy in this church are is to start to observe them. That's why I want everybody to take time to be out there looking around. Now, when I go out to a situation like screening for the church, first thing I make myself aware of is where are the risks coming from. But we're lucky we've got one entrance. That makes it pretty obvious where it's going to come from. So then you watch how people are coming in. There's a pattern of people entering the church. They're not in a hurry. They're not laying rubber. They're not driving aggressively. And if they do, something's wrong. You look for things that are out of place. The only way to know things are out of place is for them to scream at you that they're out of place, or to start to see what's happening to know they're out of place. How do you know something's out of place? Well, hands. Hands are the number one thing you look for. I don't care what you're carrying, I'll identify it when you come towards me. A cup of coffee, a Bible, a coat, whatever it might be, I want to see if I can see your hands. Warning signs are going to be coming at me like this. If I can't see your hands, they're a potential threat. So I'm going to look for hands. I'm also going to look for eyes. Normal people don't avoid your gaze. If you're up to no good and they look at you, you're going to start to look away. Or you're going to change your direction because I'm noticing you and you don't want to be noticed. So I'm going to look at those type of things. I'm going to look at emotional keys. If somebody is visibly upset, there's a reason.
If somebody comes in with his hand in his pocket, does that mean you put your hand where your weapon is?
Be very clear. It is a crime to display a weapon without purpose in the state of Florida. What does that mean? The only time I can legally pull my weapon is not to intimidate somebody, not to threaten somebody, it's not to make them run away, it's because I see a perceived threat that presents at least gravest risk of bodily harm, and they're within a certain distance of me that they can actually carry through with that threat.
Yeah.
So get that out of your mind, you take it out, first of all causes panic. One of my nightmares is somebody coming in and pulling a gun out of the sanctuary. You've seen things like that happen in Texas. That's a bad environment to pull a weapon out.
Sure.
Because you don't know how anybody else in the sanctuary is going to react. It's probably going to create some panic and upset a whole bunch of people. And that's not what we're trying to do here. That is the last possible defense if everything goes south. We don't want that to happen, so we're trying to prevent that. So if somebody's coming at me with their hands in their pocket, well, first of all, I'm going to let them get close enough, and I'm going to continue to watch them. Do they show any of their exhibitors? Are they rapidly breathing?
Yeah.
Are they angry? Do they seem to be evasive? Are they trying to draw my attention away from them, which might be looking at somebody else, pointing at something else, changing direction suddenly so I don't follow them? If they're not following a normal pattern of people who are not trying to do something unwarranted, you'll notice it. How do I deal with it? Well, I'm going to greet them. Hey, Bill, how you doing today? And I'll shake their hand. Why do I want to shake their hand? I'm not particularly fond of shaking everybody's hand,
right,
but that tells me a lot about the person.
Gets the hand out of his pocket.
Well, it might get their hand out of the pocket, but it also might tell me a little bit about their emotional state. If they're nice and relaxed and friendly, they got a smile on their face,
No problem.
no warnings. If they grip my hand like they want to kill me, different situation, okay? If I think that there's a problem, then I'll try to address it right there in the parking lot. Eventually we'll get to address it through what's called cover and contact, a technique the police use when they encounter anybody in the field. We'll go over that a little bit tonight. That gives us a closer look and provides protection if we have to do that. One of the reasons we need more than 1 or 2 trained guys is strength in numbers. If you know what to do, and we confront somebody, there's a likelihood they're not going to continue with what they want to do. If they're here to do no good, then they're going to look for an easier target. All right? At the same time, we can't stand out there with shotguns and AR-15s because it's not a very inviting look when you come into church. So we got to, be very low key, very, very low key. So in addition to how they're acting, whether I can determine their hands and where their hands are, I'll look also for their dominant hand. Almost everybody is right-handed. Not everybody, but a large percentage of the population is right-handed. The right hand is the major threat. Left-handed people carry things differently. If you are a right-handed person, chances are you carry objects in your right hand. At least your car keys, your coffee, maybe not your Bible. If you're a gun owner, you always transfer that. You want to keep your gun hand free. So everything's going to be carried in the non-dominant hand. I'm right-handed. So my wife will walk on my right side. Why? Because I carry my gun right today on my left side. Do I always carry my left side? No. I carry a very small piece for now because I don't expect problems. If I expect problems, then I'm going to have more of a tactical setup for my use, and I'm going to have some options besides having to shoot you. That's the last option we want to use. I'm going to look at people's general demeanor, but I'm also going to look at their clothing. Clothing is a tell. The standard Dirty Harry type line, some guy comes into the restaurant with a trench coat on and it's fly.
Right.
Right. Wrong. Okay? And that's really what it comes down to being. And also I talked about stride. When you besides walking, if you have a large weapon like a shotgun or rifle under your trench coat, you're going to clutch it to your side and you're going to walk funny. It's just the way people are. It's natural for them to do that. If they put it down their pants, they're going to be limping basically like somebody with a bum leg. I mean, you're looking for the obvious, but it's not all that obvious. And you can't get paranoid. Believe me, there's a tendency to start thinking everything is a problem.
Yeah.
Don't look at it that way. Look at what's normal versus what's not normal. Not normal will stand out as soon as you get to know the people, the patterns. I can tell you he's going to come to the parking lot and park close, park far, park in the first row, park in the last row, park over by the fire station. I know them. I know who's going to come in with their wife, their kids. I know who's going to come in by themselves. I know who's going to be happy when they come and who's not going to be that thrilled when they come. It's usually the husbands with the wives all the time that are not that thrilled. But that doesn't mean they're a threat. Anybody can have a bad day. And that's the other thing we can do. We have somebody that seems to be in distress. Simply asking how everything's doing. How are you? Can I do anything? Are you having a problem? You can talk to them about it. You can de-escalate whatever they might be considered. And then there are people who are obviously drunk. We want to keep them out. Drunk people are not rational. There are people who are high. We want to keep them out. Again, they're irrational.
Right.
And there are people who are emotionally unstable. And they all have their look. If you're talking to yourself and answering back, it's not a good sign. Okay? If you're arguing with yourself, it's even a worse sign. If you're getting angry with yourself while you're arguing with yourself, it's a very poor sign. So you need to look for those type of patterns. Once we know what's normal, what's abnormal stands out.
Yeah.
Once we can identify abnormal, we can address abnormal. We want to keep it in the parking lot. Vehicles. Normal vehicle coming into this parking lot is nice and leisurely. Even if they're late, they're not gassing it down the parkway. They're not leaving rubber. They're taking it nice and slow. If somebody comes into the entrance of this church and revs their engine and lays rubber and heads for the front door, that's a definite warning sign. That means they want to get to the front door as quickly as possible to do something.
Yeah.
Now, it could be a delivery guy late for something. I don't know. But we're going to react to it at that point in time. One of our first reactions is to secure the front door. 15 minutes after church starts, we lock that front door. We usually have somebody in the lobby. Bill's volunteered for now to do that, Bill Worsham, to kind of monitor just in case everybody's really coming late. but also to look for potential problems that occur during service. During service, when everybody's distracted, is a good time for somebody to come in and look around at what they can get, what they can steal, what they can damage, what they can, We don't know what people's mindset is, and we can't assume everybody has got a problem, but we can notice when signs are there for a problem. And that's what we're going to do with screening for security. I've got an interesting greeter this week. One of our kids in children's church has volunteered to be a greeter this week. I did a presentation on helping people a couple of weeks ago, and our kids wrote cards to some of our shut-ins, and I was talking about what, greeting and why it's so important, and this young lady was very excited, so she volunteered to be a greeter. She's going to be here this week. That'll be interesting. That's a whole new level of how people will react. First of all, most people will notice her, respond to her, talk to her, and interact with her. The people that don't, well, they may just be having a bad day, but then again, they may be a problem. And that's what we're trying to identify. Potential problems, keep them out. The link to this video is in your material. So what I would like you to do is, at your scheduling preference, work with me on a Sunday. Now, Bill's got a special position. He operates the audio-video controls to tape the church service, but he also has an important purpose for the security team. He is our communications person. If we have to address a problem, he's going to be the one calling 911. He's out of the way. He observes from a distance. He sees what's going on, and as soon as there's something out of place, our tactic is to call 911. It may turn out to be nothing, and we'll say, sorry, officer, that's what we thought. Mm-hmm. And that's how we'll deal with it. The quicker we can get a 911 response, the better it is for us. Now, we do have a retired officer, Howard Yost, that's here. Mm-hmm. We do have an active officer, Shane Overfield, that's here.
Is he? I feel like in 3 years.
He's an Orlando officer.
Never met the guy.
Yeah. Right now, he's not here as much because his police duties are.
Yeah, his responsibilities got jumped through the roof.
But anytime he's here, he's our lead guy on response, so to speak. He's the police presence here. Yeah. We're going to rely on him. Other than that, it's going to be right now Howard or me. However, if you have a weapon, you are entitled to carry it on church premises concealed. All right, that's what the church has decided. Carrying it to be an authorized user will require you to go through training. So it'll be two separate issues. Just remember that. Yeah, go ahead.
Just a question. I didn't mean to interrupt that. So we're not going to post something outside that says no weapon.
I've made a recommendation to the church session that they post a notice for no open carry in First Church or New Hope. They have not made that decision. If we see somebody coming in with a open carry weapon, we'll talk to them.
Stop them. I'm sorry, sir.
We actually can't stop them because here's the law in Florida. You have the absolute right to come into the church or any place else unless it's a protected area, police stations, fire stations, courtrooms, schools, places that serve only alcohol, county buildings, you name it, where you can enter with a weapon. Churches you can. And unless we post it, it's difficult to say you can't come in. But what we'll do is address it. We'll talk to the person, say, and recommend that they place it in their vehicle and then come back into church. Mm-hmm. We'll explain to them that right now it's too new and people react negatively to open carry. So we would appreciate it if you didn't have that issue in the church right now.
A follow-up question.
What?
I'm sorry if you weren't done. Okay, so the session and pastor, senior pastor will decide.
They'll decide.
Okay, so I thought that, because I've read that law too, that you included in there. It sounded like if a church or any establishment wants to set up that it's their preference that there's
yeah, that's what I thought too.
That they can say that since it's their property, that they can say no weapons.
Right. Churches will hold private property, so they can post open carry, no open carry, guns are welcome, no guns.
So a sign can stop them, but the man at the door can't.
Well, the man at the door can suggest they go somewhere else.
But a sign on the walls.
Sign on the wall absolutely forbids them from coming in, and if they do, they can be arrested immediately. Okay, if you violate that. So, example, Publix made a policy, you can walk in with your open carry in Publix. Starbucks, don't dare. Starbucks will tell you to leave and they'll call the police if they want to be nice that day, otherwise they'll just call the police and have you arrested. And what the officer will do when he gets there is called warning for trespass. He'll say, did you see the sign on the door? They have a policy of no open carry. Please leave the premises now. If you don't, immediately after that, they'll arrest you for trespass after warning.
Yeah.
Bumps up the felony.
Yeah.
Anyway, we won't hopefully have to deal with that, but we do have a procedure at this point in time to deal with it. So any other questions on?
So there may be people in the congregation that aren't part of the security team, and they want to continue to carry concealed weapon inside their building.
We think we have a handle on who's carrying, because it's very difficult to carry concealed if you know what you're looking for. Now, I told you mine's on my left side, but you're not going to see it because it's very compact, okay? And that's one of the reasons I pick it for casual wear. I don't expect any problems, but then again, I've been in situations where problems have just found me. Now, sometimes I was in uniform, sometimes I wasn't. You all know that people are crazy out there. Road rage happens, psychotic meltdowns happen. You know, there's all kinds of weirdness that goes on. And there was a thing they taught me in the academy. It is better to be judged by 12 than carried by 6. And that means that I'd rather go to court and fight for my rights than have to somebody attend my funeral because I wasn't prepared. Speaking of prepared, I'll be sending out shortly a information packet on a liability carry policy called the Right to Bear. They're fairly new. They've got a very good coverage package, and they're reasonable compared to all the others.
Okay, good. I was going to ask.
I would recommend if you are going to carry for yourself, or you're going to carry in church, or you're going to carry authorized for the security team.
Is that the insurance?
That's the insurance. There's USAA, there's CP, there's a whole bunch of them. This Right to Bear, B-E-A-R, is a new one, and they're very reasonable on their rates right now with excellent coverage, and their ratings are very good.
What's an average monthly cost for that?
They're about $159 a month, and that's for $1 million in coverage.
Take my chances with 12.
Now we are recommending to the session that they look into having a church liability policy. So don't necessarily run out and get it. But by the time we get you qualified to carry, we'll know whether or not the church is going to be able to get us a better rate. What they do is they buy a group policy, and then we pay the church back however we feel best. Now, it's all monthly, so you don't have to pay $150 up front. It's like $20 a month or something like that.
I've seen $22.
I'll send you the information. You can take a look at it. You can compare it to USAA, which is probably the biggest. But USAA, which I currently have right now, is just under $500 a year. Now, they all provide the same thing. 24/7 access to an attorney who specializes in legal use of a firearm. Money for bail, important thing. Money for witnesses, for expert witnesses for a trial. Civil protection, criminal protection. The one caveat is this: don't do something stupid. You're not covered. Okay?
Yeah.
If you use your weapon, and you are legally entitled to use that weapon, then the insurance will cover you. And the most important thing is not necessarily staying out of jail, although that's very important. If you own a house, if you own a car, if you have any assets, they are going to be actionable in a self-defense case. Because here's synopsis of what happens in every self-defense case. You were justified in using it. The police are going to come in, they're going to confiscate your weapon, they're going to put you in handcuffs, they're going to take you out of the station, they're going to fingerprint you, they're going to photograph you, they're going to take your statement. Somebody else, a prosecutor, is going to make a determination on whether or not they're going to charge you. At the very least, you're going to appear for preliminary hearings, and you're going to have to spend $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 not to go to jail. Okay? So I carry the protection, I've carried it for 20 some odd years now, just for my own peace of mind. That's a decision you have to make. And if you have a wife, discuss it with your wife. I actually have coverage for my wife as well, and they have that available. So I'll send that out and you can all take a look at it. All right. So what I was saying, I'd like everybody to take some time on a Sunday, come out, we'll go through what I'm doing, why I'm doing it, so you can get used to it, let you try little observations on your own. It's good for a number of reasons. You get to meet a lot more congregants that way. And after you start smiling a whole bunch on Sunday morning, it changes your attitude about Sunday. I don't know what it is. You're greeting people, you're saying, hi to the kids, they're saying hi back to you. You get your, regulars that come in, they want to talk and have a conversation, and it's just nice. I like it. But I'm also there to do a job. So concentrate on the job, but don't get paranoid about doing the job. In a nutshell, if we can keep it outside that front door, and we can stop it in the parking lot, we don't have to worry about what comes into the church.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, as far as keeping it at the front door, like you said, 15 minutes after the start?
I lock the door.
So what about the side doors and the door down?
We check the side doors. Part of the lobby, when I come into the church, before church service starts, I'll check the doors. Okay? We identified some doors that need some tender loving care, so we're going to get some maintenance on those.
They're locked from the outside anyway.
We're also about to put in the security cameras. Mike Baus is working this week on the men's room. I've got to meet with him and see if he can install the electric this week or next week to get the Wi-Fi cameras in. We'll have a camera at the end of the hallway. We'll have at least 1 or 2 cameras in the lobby area. We'll have one more camera pointed towards the nursery. That's our initial setup inside the church. We have video in the sanctuary, so we don't need to worry about that. And I've got to get approval, but I'm looking to get a camera that looks out the front door. Which is the direction
Inside of the
it's coming
lobby? Inside of the lobby?
In the lobby.
Looking out?
We're using WISE cameras, which are Wi-Fi. Very good definition, easy to set up. Once we have an electrical outlet, we can put them anywhere we want. But the church wasn't set up to have them, so okay, we're going to get that.
You're saying a camera in the lobby?
There'll probably be 2
pointing
cameras
out the doors?
in the lobby. There'll probably be a dual camera. One pans this way, one pans that way.
Yeah.
They'll be in the far corner. So we've got most of the lobby covered, and they track people. That's their job. We set them up to track people, cars, pets, dogs, whatever we want. They react to noises. They are security cameras. The one down here will be fixed. The one by the nursery will likely be fixed. So if we can get one that also identifies faces coming in the front door, that helps us with prosecution if it comes down.
That'll be tricky because you're pointing from a somewhat darker room towards the daylight.
Right.
Now, that's
Those
going to be
cameras
hard
have nighttime
for that
vision.
camera to do that.
It would be, but WISE makes a camera specifically for that. It's
Ooh.
called a window camera.
I've
Oh.
got like 20 of those
And
ones.
it mounts right to the window. All you gotta do is provide a power cord to power it, and you're ready to go.
Pretty good security.
Outside, we're gonna have solar-powered cameras.
Yeah.
It just came out with a new line. The charge lasts almost 2 weeks, and it charges within 45 minutes. So they'll be charged all the time. There'll be at least 3, if not 4, around the perimeter of the church, working in the parking lot, the AC units, the shed, whatever we think we need to look. So
Okay.
they'll be easy to put up, and they'll actually be a deacon state. So,
Right.
And they're like anything else, how close they are to the router. I've noticed the WISE cameras, because I have some in my home in Pennsylvania.
They're very good.
I check, they don't like the cold weather.
no,
They don't. But down here, we don't have too much problem with that. So.
Not usually. A little bit this year, but not usually.
they're also, the ones we're getting are also weatherproof for outside.
Yeah.
So they're IS certified for weatherproof, and they're all also have infrared capabilities, so they see at night too. Same with the inside. So we'll be able, and what happens is we set them up through the church's Wi-Fi network, and they can be monitored on a phone. They can also send an alert to wherever we want to be alerted. It'll probably be security team members, so they don't pass doesn't want to be bothered. So if there's a person in the middle of service that opens that back door, we'll get an alert. Okay?
Okay, so you're saying we have going to have cameras outside,
Eventually,
but
first inside.
they're on Wi-Fi?
They are all Wi-Fi.
Are we sure that the Wi-Fi strength will get to them out there?
We'll know when we put them in because part of the installation process is determining the Wi-Fi strength.
Right.
And if we need to, they have Wi-Fi boosters that are
Okay.
designed for the
All right.
system. So it's a pretty good system.
All right.
I don't think we'll find much of a problem.
Yep. That's your place?
Well, here
Yeah,
and
I've got it in
home
my house, like Mike's
Pennsylvania.
house too. We talk about cover and contact, which is how we're gonna handle these problems.
This is Keith from Christian Water Training. We're going to talk about contact cover. We're going to use this whenever we need to talk to anybody at the church that we think might hurt us, right? So why don't you come on up, you're going to be my suspect. We're going to put him in the center. I'll be the contact officer. As the contact officer, I'm going to do all the talking. My cover officer is going to come up here. And so what we're going to do is we're going to imagine if there's 4 quadrants around this person. So we've got it taped out on the floor here. When we contact him, I'm going to do all the talking. I'm going to have my bladed stance so I don't get kicked in the testicles. My partner's going to be right here, and then I'm going to start talking. I'm the contact officer, so I'm doing all the talking. I'm going to ask him, hey, welcome to our church. My name is Keith. I'm with the safety team. I notice that you're acting, people call in and say you're acting a little suspiciously. You look like a nice guy. What happened, man? Is everything all right?
Oh, I was just looking for the bathroom.
Oh, awesome. Let me help you to the bathroom, right? So if we want to keep it low key, okay, we can actually have the cover officer hang back, right? So you can hang way back, and he can look like he's not even a part of it, and I can just come up and go, hey, my name's Keith. I'm with the safety team. How are you doing today?
Hey, I'm doing pretty good.
All right, hey, somebody called and said you were suspicious, but you actually look okay to me, so...
No, I was looking for the bathroom to move to the church here.
Oh, awesome. Let's do that, and then I tell you what, I'll take you to the bathroom, and then we're going to go hit the welcome center right after. We hit? All right. So see, we found out it's a normal thing, but what if we come up and it's something not cool, right? Hey, my name's Keith. I'm from the security team. We heard, hey, is everything all right? I noticed you're going to a bladed stance.
I've had issues with cops. I don't like coming up on me.
Oh, that's awesome. I'm not a cop. I'm retired. I'm a free man. All right. So what will happen now is my cover officer came up and he took a position. We're now triangulating him, right? And what we want to do is we're actually in the children's ministry right now. So our high schoolers come in here and have service here. So we're going to position ourselves to protect the children. And there's a door right back there. And we want our direction to keep him towards the door and protecting the children, right? But let's say it was opposite, okay? Let's say we actually want him to go this direction. I could come up and I can go, hey, my name's Keith, I'm with the safety ministry. I just want to talk to you because some people said you were a little suspicious. Right, now see what I did is, he's reacting to the direction I'm going and that's exactly what I want. Right? So, we talked about quadrants. I'm going to take this quadrant, I'm going to do everything, all he's going to do is make sure I don't get hurt. But what if he takes a quadrant that's not connected to me? Why don't you go ahead and take that quadrant over there? How do you feel right now? It kind of, now see, we're also now in a crossfire, okay? So if something pops off, we're now shooting at each other. So we want to take connected quadrants. And since we want him to be away from the door, because for some reason we don't want him going out that door, you can come over here, and we're taking connected quadrants. And now we've blocked the door. He can't come to the door right now. And we're putting him in this direction, okay? So now we can have our conversation, right? When I first contacted him, he actually did a pre-attack indicator. Can you do that again for me? So go back to the bladed stance you're in. Right when I came up, he went into a bladed stance, and now he's keeping his hands up. It's called pre-attack indicator, all right? So I keep my distance when I do it. I always contact people with at least a 10-foot distance. Because if he's going to attack me, I'm going to have an indicator before it happens. He's got to make some movement. So I can sidestep, I can back up, I can meet his aggression and take this to the ground, I can divert him. There's all sorts of things that we can do. Not a defensive tactics class. We just want to show where our people are here, right? So we're in connected quadrants. We're in a triangle, right? And we're good to go. Let's say that I contact him and he does something that causes me to want to call the police. So let's say we got a call that he was peering in at the children's ministry and he obviously has no kids and he's acting weird. I can come and go, hey, my name's Keith, I'm with the security team. Hey, we got a call that you were peering in looking at the kids. Is everything okay?
I was just
Awesome. Okay. What's your name?
Not really comfortable reading that out to you.
Oh, okay. Hey, this is Keith. I'm in the children's ministry. Can you call the police and ask them to respond for a suspicious person?
That's totally not necessary. I'm not suspicious. I'm just looking at kids. Okay, that sounds bad. I'm just coming around and looking at children's ministry.
It is bad. It is bad. Are you a sex offender by chance? Do you have any sex offender arrests? No. Okay. Usually that means yes. So I'm just trying to figure things out here. I don't want you to get in trouble. Maybe we can work things out. Do you have sex offender history?
Not really. You got a friend here. I don't really want to talk about it.
Tell the police to step it up. We got a pedophile. No, I'm just kidding. So, look, it doesn't hurt to ask questions either, right? One of the things that we went over is when we just trained our entire church team. And one of the things that came up was somebody said that the person kept readjusting their shirt and moving around. That is a pre-attack indicator. It indicates that somebody's armed and they're covering their gun, they're moving it, they're touching it to make sure it's where it's supposed to be if they have to come on and do something. And they were saying how it made them nervous. It does not hurt, so go ahead and make those movements, like those pre-attack indicator movements. Okay? So he just pulled his shirt down and now he's doing this. Sir, do you have a handgun on you by chance?
I don't know.
So that means yes. All right, I need you to keep your hands at your side. You're going to have to leave now. All right, you're getting trespassed. I need you to come on up. And the reason why we're doing it is Idaho and it is legal, but we're here because he's peering on the children, and we do have the authority to kick out anybody we want. I don't like that he has a handgun. He did give me some pre-attack indicators, even though it's legal in Idaho, and everybody in our church has a gun, right? There are guns all over this church, and we're good with it, and you are free to have a concealed handgun in our church. But obviously, we've got somebody that's peering at the children. He can't answer questions that we've asked him to. We have the police coming. I asked him if he's armed. He says he is. I want him away from the children. I have the authority to make him move, and I'm going to do that now. So with our contact cover, right, we're going to come up, and now as I readjust him, we're going to say, hey, it's time for you to leave. We can go out that door. Keep your hands at your side. Don't grab your gun. Because I got one too. All right? And so as we do this, we've maintained our contact cover, and we're getting them out the door, right? Okay. So let's come on back here. Let's reset. What we don't want is we don't want you to be the police. Okay? We're not going to search him. We're not going to take the gun from him. There's no crime that's being committed. We're not the police anyways, but we do want him to leave. We're going to maintain this contact cover. We can adjust, right? If something happens and I decide I need to come over to this quadrant over here, my partner's going to readjust and he's going to come over to an adjoining quadrant. So we have these 4 quadrants. We never want to be in a non-aligned quadrant, because if we do, we're in a crossfire. We are now making him paranoid, right? And we want to be in a position where his only job is to support me. That's it. He's actually a really nice guy. He's in charge of our campus in another city. So just so you guys know, he's actually a great guy. All right. Yeah, I think that's all we got. So what I want you to do is, from here, I want you guys to go to your campus. I want you to lay out the lines just like we have here. And then what I want you to do, I want you to lay these lines out just like that. Go to your campus. And then I want you, I can see the camera moving up. There we go. And then I want you to practice this. I want you to just put something in the middle, and I just want you to practice contact cover. Sometimes we want you to go hard. Right? It's like a disruptor. Like, let's say you have I gotta be careful with what words I use on YouTube. A Middle East supporter of an organization that hates Christians. If you start to yell in your church, we're going to contact them. Now let's go ahead and be my cover officer, and the camera is the person. We're going to come up and we're going to go, hey, it's time to leave. We need to go. All right? And we're going to make that happen. But what if it's just a person that is just suspicious, but we don't want to be overwhelming. We want to be enhanced greeters, right? If that's going to happen, my cover can hang back a little bit, okay? And then I'm going to come up to them, and I'm just going to say, hey, my name's Keith. I'm with the Welcome Ministry. Is there anything I can do to help you today? I haven't seen you before. And then we can go from there. And if all of a sudden it's something bad, and I get the heebie-jeebies, I can just go, come on up, and then now he's going to come up, and then now we can take care of business, all right? So that's contact cover in a nutshell. Let me know in the comments what you think. That's all I got for now. Remember, the most important thing besides praying for the safety of you and your church, the second most important thing you can do is remember your ABCs, always be carrying.
All right, so cover and concealment or cover and contact, pretty standard tactics. Let's talk about a couple of key things. You talked about the 10-foot rule, you obviously saw they weren't 10 foot. How close is too close? If I can touch the person, it's real too close. Police basically use between 10 and 21 feet as the danger zone. Within 10 feet, I can see the attack, but I don't have enough time to react to the attack. Within 21 feet, somebody who is intent can actually reach me with a knife before I can shoot them generally. Okay? So we don't want to be paranoid again, but we want to be aware. Now that was a nice open situation there. We've got some unopened situations like our sanctuary. We can work it out so that we can use the quadrant to our advantage, but it's a little more tricky there because we not only have to protect the
What you doing,
pastors, we have to protect the congregation.
What you doing, buddy?
What's happening, buddy? So we're gonna do some practice. We won't do it tonight because we're gonna end the night shortly. So the other thing I want to talk to you about contact and cover is specific roles. You mentioned that the contact person is the one addressing whoever the target or the guest or the subject is, and he's the one who is in charge of de-escalation. That's our main tactic, de-escalate until we don't have to de-escalate. It's kind of like Roadhouse. Be nice because you don't have to be nice, okay? However, we're not going to hopefully get into a physical altercation with anybody. We're going to try to buy time, if nothing else, so the police can respond. If we have somebody who jumps up in the middle of the service, starts yelling and screaming, they will make the call. A couple of guys will make the contact, and we'll go from there. Now, the other thing we have to consider in the sanctuary, there are only a couple of places in the sanctuary we can actually clearly fire. We can't fire towards the podium, targets. We can't fire towards the chairs, targets.
What was the second one?
The chairs. People are going to be singing chairs.
Oh, and chairs, yeah.
So let's take a scenario. Somebody has a bug up their butt, jumps up in the middle of the church and wants to argue with the pastor. They're getting agitated. They're walking towards the podium. We have to intercept them. So in this case, the interception is going to be pretty much towards the back of the church. But the cover guy is going to be on the right side if you're facing that area, the left side if you're looking towards the back of the church, so that he has a clear field of fire to that one corner on the left side of the sanctuary. We can't really use the right side of the sanctuary because we got the choir.
Mm-hmm.
So we're limited. But we have to plan just in case. Now the cover guy, as he said, is the one who makes all the decisions, per se, on warnings. His job is to watch. His job is not to add comments. His job is not to reinforce what the contact person is saying. His job is to watch the subject for weapons and attacks. So he will give verbal clues to the contact person who might be not seeing them. And obviously, if he sees a weapon, it's going to be gun, knife, whatever the verbiage is. That changes the whole scenario. Things have just gone south, and we're about to have a situation we don't want to have. All right? So on a couple of nights, we'll get to practice those. I've got two things to go with you before we can leave tonight. Is everybody here going to be involved in the firearms training? Let me explain what we're going to be doing. We're
Firearms what?
Firearms training.
Training, yeah.
Bill Worsham has offered his property. He's got an area that's safe to shoot with a berm. He's given us carte blanche. We're looking now at a Saturday, either the 28th, I think, which is the last Saturday, or the first Saturday in March. So think about which is the better Saturday. Does everybody have a firearm?
Yes.
Okay. Your caliber is?
The one I carry is a .380.
Okay. Your caliber is?
Which one do you want? 45, the 22, or the 38?
I carry 45 myself, so I prefer, so it's up to you. 38 or 45 is fine.
38 River,
Excuse me?
a 308 River.
308. Well, 308, that's a rifle.
A
38?
380 River.
380, okay.
380, yeah.
380, by the by, is the minimum we want to have in the church. 22, not so much.
Yeah.
Doesn't have the stopping power.
Right.
If you can be real precise and go for the tee shot,
I got pretty good aim, man.
we're going to be teaching tactical training.
Yeah.
It's a whole different thing than target training.
For sure.
It's what the police switched to back in the 80s. And it's between 3 feet and 20 feet, basically. And it's more instinct and sight shooting. And we'll get on all the tactics and training for that. What you'll need to bring is, let me know if you can't or don't have anything, is a holster, a belt, some ammunition if you have it. The church has some funds to buy some ammunition, so if we need 9, 380, 45, we can make some available. You need ear protection, eye protection. It'll be roughly a 3 to 4 hour class on a Saturday, and it's going to be kind of different. We're not going to be out there firing a lot. We're going to be working on basics to start with. And we're going to do it real slow, because you practice slow so you get to know what to do, so you can speed up and do it properly.
Okay, so for this training, if we carry a 380 to church,
Whatever you
we
want to
should
carry,
bring that.
but you
Not,
can bring anything.
we don't need the Glock that's at home.
That's up to you. If you're gonna decide to carry a 380 in church, then that's the one you should train with.
Yeah, right.
Right now, I prefer to train with an exterior holster, just because it's safer.
Mm-hmm.
We'll get into concealed holsters later on in the training. There's a couple of different techniques, but any holster that can clip to a belt will work. I have the tactical holsters, Kydex, plastic, because they're rigid. And here's the thing to keep in mind. 99.99% of the problems on a range with accidental firing occur for 2 reasons. Non-trigger discipline and trying to get the dumb thing back in your holster. I have been a police trainer for 20 plus years, and I've seen a number of police officers shoot themselves in the foot.
Wow.
I've also seen them shoot weave ceilings, walls, and anything else you can think of. We're going to be slowing it down just for that reason.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if you've ever done tactical shooting. It's a different grip. It's a different sight picture. It's a different body posture, and all that has to be learned. So the first couple of sessions, we'll get some firing in towards the end, but we'll be doing motion drills more than anything else the first couple of times. And so let me know what date works for you.
Okay.
And the other thing I want to bring in is the next thing I'd like to bring in as training is the use of a kubaton. Does anybody know what a kubaton is?
Would you say scuba diving?
Kubaton.
Was that the baton thing?
A kubaton is a small plastic or metal 6 or 8 inch piece of cylinder. Kind of like a really fat pencil. It is a tactical weapon the police use for defense and control. It works on multiplying strike force and also controlling pressure points. It's a really good weapon because it's a non-lethal weapon. It's a critically lethal weapon, and we can train people really easy on how to use it. So if everybody's agreeable to learning that system, we'll do that for a night or 2. Get you a kubaton to use so we're all standardized, and start to train you on how to use it and how to protect yourself. Because one of the things you didn't talk about there, and you mentioned I have a gun. Well, I got a gun too, but the last thing I want to do is take it out and use it. It's just going to be a nightmare. So if I got something else I can use, that's going to be my first go. The only time I want to bring my weapon out is when there's a weapon pointed at me or somebody else.
Yeah.
That's it. Okay? As I said, we're not going to intimidate anybody with a weapon. We're not going to display a weapon. But when a weapon is presented, all bets are off.
Right.
You're kind of, kubatons are nice, collapsible batons are nice, stun guns are nice. We can't use pepper sprays or that type of stuff in the sanctuary because if we spray it there, people will get falling down to the ground crying. So we don't want that. But a non-lethal weapon against a lethal weapon means you're going to lose. Alright, so it's that simple. So there's techniques to use to make it quick and easy to take the person out or control them so they can't do what they want to do. Alright. So if you're amenable to that, we'll put that as our next module. So that means let's pick a date. Another Monday, pick a date, let me know, you don't have to tell me tonight. So send me an email, say, hey, this is the best date for firearms training. This would be a great date to have the next training class, and we'll do a Kubathon class right here for about an hour. We'll give you a Kubathon that night, teach you how to use it.
And you have one?
I've got a bunch of them to hand out.
Okay.
I didn't bring them tonight because I'm not sure you guys want to do it.
Yeah.
I give them out like candy just about everybody I know because they're such a nice thing to have. They're a key ring, by the way, also a good thing. They hold your keys, but more importantly, they are great for anybody, no matter what age, no matter what size, no matter what sex. You don't have to be, Bruce Lee. You don't have to be big and burly. You don't have to be young or old. If you know how to use it, it's an effective means of protection. That's what we're going to do. All right.
On the collapsible,
Collapsible batons are good, and I carry one.
They're lethal.
They're
concealed weapons, right?
They're intimidating, which is good. Anything intimidating is a good thing in a stress situation.
No, but they would have to be concealed, right?
It's just like it's the same as any weapon you carry.
Yeah.
No matter what it is, you only recently can carry it open. Before last year, the end of middle of 25, July, you could not carry it open in the state of Florida. So the same rules that apply to open carry of a gun applies to open carry of any defensive weapon. However, there's a reason I don't carry open. I like the element of surprise. Mm-hmm. There is nothing in the world like turning somebody's world around when they've started some stuff, and I have the ability after they pull out their weapon to pull out mine.
Well, if he sees you carrying, open carry, he's likely not going to start something, right?
There's that argument to be made, but at the same time, there's a high number of statistics that show that open carry, particularly civilians, are targeted for the stealing of their weapons. Yeah. Okay?
Yeah.
And, I may be good, but if you've got a weapon pointed at my head, by the time I can draw my gun and fire at you, I'm probably going to be dead. All right, so I like the element of surprise whenever possible.
That's fine. That's fine.
And I'm also going to be aware because I'm going to be watching the hands. And the other thing you didn't mention is you want to watch one thing else. The sternum, center of the body. I can fake with my head. I can fake with my hands. I can fake with my feet. I can fake with my footwork. This doesn't fake.
Wherever it goes.
I'll know exactly what you're going to do by where this moves. So when I'm in a contact situation or a control situation, that's one of the things I've been focusing on. And understand it's a lot harder to effectively put a target down than most people think. And please keep one thing in mind. We are never, ever, ever shooting to kill somebody. We are shooting to stop a threat. Period. You got to start thinking defensively for yourself. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. So when they come in after you have a perfectly 100% legal shooting, and they put your body in cuffs, put you in the back of a car, and take your weapon, is they're going to ask you a whole bunch of questions. You have the right to remain silent. That doesn't mean you're a criminal. You have an attorney, if you buy the insurance, to make sure you don't say the wrong thing, because anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. The guy who shot the banana in Texas, who threatened the pastor with a weapon and took him out with a headshot, was defending himself at trial for 3 months. It's just something to think about. We don't want that happening. We hope that never happens to anybody. But being prepared is a lot better than being surprised. Okay.
So where are we shooting them? Because I was raised second hand by a grandfather who was Marine, Army, World War II, Korean War. You pull a gun, you use a gun, you kill.
Yes.
So if we're not shooting to kill,
we're shooting to stop the threat legally.
Where am I going to put him? Put a bullet in his leg?
The whole world in Hollywood.
Everybody knows you don't go for a face shot anyway.
The whole world in Hollywood has this shoot 'em dead mentality. The problem is that makes you admit to premeditation.
Right.
Okay? Police are taught the police are taught one response. I shot to stop the threat. Why did you shoot it 6 times? Because he continued to present a threat.
Oh, okay.
It wasn't to make sure he was dead. Okay?
So you're just saying for our defense, what we say.
Unfortunately, everybody thinks that if they're doing what's right, then they're protected.
Right.
Sorry, that's not reality. The reality is the police are going to make a determination based on what they see. Now, we have an advantage. We got a video system, so that's going to be very good for us, providing you did everything you're supposed to do.
Right.
So if the video clearly shows whatever turkey it is pulling out a gun before you shoot him, that's going to really bolster your case. But it doesn't mean you're not going to end up in jail. It doesn't mean you're not going to need to get bailed out. It doesn't mean you're not going to have to defend yourself. We hope that, right prevails, but this is the real world. So we want to be as low-key as we can possibly be. Our job is not to police this sanctuary, this church. Our job is to protect it to the best of our abilities and allow the police to handle it when things go south. That's our purpose, okay? So let me know on the dates and any questions?
You mentioned the plastic holster. What was the brand?
I like a Kydex holster, plastic, just because it's more rigid, Kydex.
KY.
Every gun you can find, they're about, if you have a standard model gun, they're about $20, $30 on Amazon. What they are, instead of a leather holster or a fabric holster, they're rigid and they're conformed to the particular gun you're going to use it for.
I don't hold it there. One other question. The field strip, my 380, I actually have to knock a pin out of the handle.
Okay.
So that's going to be part of the training. You want to see us take our weapons completely apart.
We'll learn how to clean them. Repairs are a different matter. Is the pin just a grip pin?
No, it's a pin like, you want me to show you? It's not.
Yeah, you have to unscrew it.
I never, this is just personal with me.
All right, keep your finger off the trigger.
I never ever, I've trained my children this, I never even keep a loaded gun in the house. Never, because I don't want anybody to.
That's a Ruger?
Yeah, and so for me to field strip this thing, I gotta knock this pin out.
Oh, okay. Well, field stripping is not necessary to cleaning your gun.
Okay,
It's
I
good once in a while to do
misinterpreted
so.
that then, so.
But there are tools you can buy to fit the size of the pen, you'll take them right out.
I just thought about when I read it.
I have a set of them, so if we need to, we can do that for you. It's not necessary to have a Kydex holster, it just makes it easier and safer in a range environment, because you're going to be drawing and reholstering your weapon probably 150 times during the time we're there. Because that's how you learn, that's how you get the muscle memory to do what's correct under stress. Understand, the police switched to tactical shooting, because when I started in the police department, it was all target shooting. Stand to the strong side of the target, one-handed, aim, fire, okay? And they trained you at that time, because the police officers, the range officers didn't want to pick up a lot of brass, to dump the brass into either a bucket or your hand and then put it into a bucket. And when the police powers at that time started looking at officer fatalities, they found an awful lot of time when the officer had rounds in his hand, or rounds dumped by one side or the other, because he was trying to look for the bucket. What you practice is what you do. So tactical training teaches you to do three things. The same thing every time, to get smooth, to be fast, and to take a quick sight picture to immediately engage your target. It's not target practice, it's instinct shooting. We're also going to teach you how to avoid problems with recoil. Everybody thinks recoil is bigger than it is, so most people flinch when they fire weapons, which is why you constantly group left, right, high, low, whatever it might be. You have a good, basic position, but you're making some mistakes in your application of firing that causes it to flinch. So we'll cover a whole bunch of things in that training. We'll probably do a number of days, because we want to eventually get you up to the point where getting through the qualification course is no big deal. But that starts with really learning the basics. We're learning how to grip properly, learning how to draw properly, learning how to index properly, learning how to fire properly. Standard mistakes everybody makes. They draw, they fire, bing, and they hold the trigger back. Guess what happens? Gun does not reset. You're going to train your memory to let that trigger go.
Right.
I see people thinking this gun must weigh 1,000 pounds because they're as rigid as they can be. It's like it's holding an amble out there. It's not. And that actually makes recoil worse than it has to be. Because when you lock up the body, there's no recoil absorption. It just pushes you in ways that you want it to push you, and it makes it more difficult to follow the shot. The other thing is, for some reason, probably the movies, people constantly fire and then pull the gun back. I have no idea why. It does nothing.
Right.
Maybe they think they need to recoil themselves. I don't understand it, but you got to train it out of you because it's a common thing for people to do. You also need to find out what your dominant eye is. If you don't know, you may be right-handed in the left eye. Okay. Instinct shooting is going to teach your body to point towards the target and give you about 120 range arc of motion without having to move your posture. It's also going to set you up so you can move with the weapon. We're going to teach that. What we're going to teach is basic handling, a lot of safety, initial shots, follow-up shots, malfunction controls, and reloading under time, pressure, and motion. So all those things will come into the course we're going to go through. I'd say it's probably going to take us 3 or 4 months to get through it all on 5 or 6 Saturdays over that 3 or 4 months. So let me know what works. Bill's pretty much left it up to us as long as he doesn't have another commitment. We can be there as long as we need to be. We'll definitely get to shoot each time. If he wants to go, we're going to get to shoot.
I know most everything's going to be how we handle it, like what you're talking about. But you said we might be doing target practice?
We will do no target practice. We will do some drills to fire. We'll fire the gun, is what I'm telling you.
In fact, we don't even really need any ammo, right?
No, you do. We're going to fire the weapons.
Well, there's 2 reasons to have ammo. One, you want the weight of the weapon to be the weight of the weapon. An empty gun is handled differently than a live gun. At the same time, we have to be very cautious because we have live ammunition in a live range situation. So safety becomes more. Do you ever know Cooper's 4 rules for safety? Jeff Cooper's? Jeff Cooper is a guy who really started the tactical gunning craze in the world. He was a training teacher, lieutenant colonel, I believe. Anyway, he came with 4 rules of gun safety. Gun is always loaded.
What is it?
The gun is always loaded and verified.
Oh, yeah.
It's unloaded. Okay? So you always point in a safe direction.
Mm-hmm.
You want to make sure what your background is, and then you always control your trigger. Right? You pull the gun out, which is great, and you're safety minded to put the finger behind the trigger. Great for safety, bad for use. The gun always indexes along the side of the weapon. That's the only place it's ever going to be, and until you're on target, that's where it stays. Okay? That is the #1 cardinal rule. We'll drum it into you till you're sick of hearing it, because everybody does the same thing, particularly under stress. They think something's going down, they immediately put the trigger on the gun, even when they're drawing, even when they're holstering, and most people shoot themselves because the gun is triggered by when they put it in their holster. That's all it takes. Okay? The trigger on most good guns is less than 6 pounds. That's not a lot of weight. And we have to be aggressive. The one thing I like Kydex for is I can get an aggressive hold on my weapon because it has to be high. We're going to teach all those basics. But if it's flopping around, it's a little more difficult to get a good grip. And if you have to, and that's one of the problems with concealed weapons. I carry on my left side, as I said, because I like to carry on that side when I'm not expecting any problems. But I have to draw it differently because not only am I cross drawing, but it's inside my waistband. So I do what's called claw, standard practice, to pull it out so I can then adjust my grip. The other thing we're going to teach you to do is indexing. Everybody knows where their belly button is? All right, as soon as you draw a gun out of your holster, as you're doing this drawing motion, you go to your belly button. What's that for? It's got 2 purposes. All right, let me tell you about Mickey Villain. Mickey Villain was a Yonkers police officer who was practicing at the range one day. And I don't know how many times I told Mickey, keep your hand by your waist until the gun is out of the way. That means you don't move this hand until the gun's here to move it into. Well, he's practicing quick draw at the range and he blows the tip of this finger right off. Because he did this.
Oh,
Shot himself the finger. Okay? You say to yourself, no, we can be that stupid. Never say that. It's a challenge, okay? So you teach your body not to make mistakes, particularly under stress, because what you practice is what you'll do, no matter what it is. So we got to unlearn maybe some things you've been practicing for, me, 50 years, him, 20 years, just to break you of those habits. So that if it comes down to it, you've got the most chance for accuracy, the most chance for proper engagement, the most chance for safety. So
Okay.
we'll start on that probably, as I said, the end last Saturday in February, the beginning Saturday in March, whatever works best for everybody. Okay?
All right.
Either Saturday works for me. Just a quick question about which gun I end up bringing.
Excuse me?
Which gun you recommend I show up with? Because it's a .38 snub nose, which is great for close contact, not great for long or even medium.
We're not going to be more than 10 feet.
Okay, so the .38 might be good.
38 is good. 38 is the only problem with 38. Okay, I got a great book at home. You've probably never seen it because it's restricted. It's called Street Survival.
Yeah.
And it starts off with a review of police shootings, scenarios, and cases, active cases, and then tracks what happens. And it starts off with a guy in New York City, which is what caused the New York City police to change from 38s. This guy who was having a party with drugs and got aggressive and tried to rob a bunch of people and had a running gun battle with police, was shot 27 times and did not stop.
Wow.
Right? He was shot in the chest, he was shot in the head, he was shot in the arms, he was shot in the head. 38 is a decent round, but placement is 100 times more important than anything else.
Yeah.
If you're a really good shot, you can take a person out with a 22.
One shot, yeah.
Right? If you don't hit a vital area, the vital area is a lot different than people think. It's a T here, and it's an 8-inch circle here towards the left side. Now, what confuses a lot of people is my right side is what side it hit.
Right.
Okay? So if you start to think I got to go to the left, you're actually going to go away from the vital area, and that's not what you want. You want to stop the person. The only way to really and effectively do that is heart, spine, brain, lungs.
Yeah, right.
Okay? At the same time, there's times when you don't have. We'll practice at one point when we're shooting at 3 feet. That's when this hand's going to become real important. Because that's called a latch this effort, and it's basically this. It's a fast draw. So if you move this hand at all, there's a good chance you shoot yourself.
Yeah.
And you don't give anybody the chance to grab the gun because they're too close. So you immediately fire and clear your holster. We'll practice that as a drill. We're going to do all kinds of different drills so that you're comfortable with using a weapon.
Great. So that brings me back. Yeah. So the 38, the 22, or a 45 high point. Which
45 is great. It's big to carry.
It's a big carry, right? It's a big carry.
If I think it depends on the model. If it's a Commander.
It's a high point. It's a big hunk of metal.
I've got a couple of high points myself, but they're
heavy.
Their quality is not. The reliability is not.
Right. No, for sure. I got it for free. It's the only reason I ever have a high point.
My personal, I like 45s. I just do.
Right.
I've got a Colt 911. I've got a.
So which one do you think I should show up with on Saturday?
I would say
a 38 snub nose, a 22 with a high point.
I would go with the 38.
Okay.
So I'll show easy to conceal.
Yep.
They've been advertising online a new manufacturer called
Vanish, okay.
Holsters. They're a belly band holster.
Okay.
Which makes them quite
good for a
comfortable
38
and easy to conceal. Yeah. The only problem with the revolver is they're fairly thick.
Right, they're thick and there's no safety on it. So.
Right. I wouldn't carry an ankle holster. I wouldn't carry
But the only holster I have right now is an open carry.
There's certain ways I wouldn't carry. I find out as I get older, ankle holsters are way beyond my reach quickly. Go figure. I had a fanny pack at one time because my duty weapon was a .357 when I was in the police department.
Right.
And that's what you had to carry. So naturally, that's what I carried to and from because I need my weapon when I got to work, so I got a fanny pack to carry it. Not the best thing, but it works. But it's slow to get out, okay? And it kind of marks you as gone. Now I'm looking for it. Get a good, comfortable holster. If you like to sit, you're better with an appendix carry, which is the other side of your dominant hand. That's why I carry on my left side when I'm coming to church, things like that. But as we progress, and I think there's going to be an issue, I'll carry my compact 45. It's not that much bigger than this gun, but it'll take care of it. I've got two models, one holds 6 rounds, one holds 17 rounds. That's how I feel that day, I guess. If I'm expecting trouble, I'll do more. But realistically, firing scenarios. 3 seconds, 3 rounds, 3 feet. That's the overall average for everyone in the United States. 3 feet, 3 rounds, 3 seconds. That's how fast it's going to be. So that's a lot to plan for and practice for. But practice is what's going to make it easy to do.
All right.
Gentlemen, thanks for your time.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks for the tips.